Let's see what a Dracula ends up discarding here. There's going to be a Giganto. Oh, close. But not quite enough for the opponent there. Hello everyone, I'm back with another video for you today, and I have a very cheeky and powerful MODOK deck to share with you. This is a pure value MODOK with Swarm, Wolverine, playing that guy on turn 5, getting Dracula and Apocalypse value. It's just great, it's really good stuff, very powerful, not gimmicky, Invisible Woman, Hela, shenanigans or anything like that. We've got just a very solid deck, which I think you can get to infinite rank with, if that's what you're after. So let's jump into the cards. We have Sunspot as the 1-cost card for the deck. You could consider running another 1-cost card. I've only got Sunspot in there for that turn 1 play, and then to save you in case of drawing a little bit weirdly, perhaps having just a Chavez at the end of the game that you want to discard with Dracula. There are some situations where Sunspot gets a pretty incredible amount of value or saves you from the spots that are otherwise pretty bad for you. So Sunspot's pretty important, but you could run another 1-cost card if you wanted. I'll tell you what to take out for that in that case. Next we have Morbius. This card is really good with MODOK, of course. +2 for every discard. MODOK discarding your hand, it's just a no-brainer. You can even do Mystique, you can even do Wong, Mystique, that kind of stuff if you want. I'm not doing that in this deck, so I think it's a bit vulnerable to Enchantress and things like that, but yeah, Morbius, great card in this deck. Next we have Wolverine, also really nice. Going to be discarded from MODOK and come out of the hand for 4 free power, essentially, which is just really nice. Makes that MODOK especially strong when combined with the Swarm as well, which is the next card we have. Going to be able to discard this with Colleen. We also have Colleen Wing to get 4 Swarms for the late game with that MODOK potentially. Or, you know, you can just use Swarm with MODOK. You know, on its own, it's perfectly decent for turn 6 Swarm value. Very, very powerful. We've got Cosmo in there as a turn 3 play that can sort of put some pressure on the opponent. Perhaps if you have initiative, you can even, you know, it's a little unlikely you'll have initiative some games, but sometimes you will, and you can get free wins with that Cosmo sniping the opponent's key turn 3 play, perhaps. Otherwise, it just helps you lock one location down because you can play a Dracula there, you can play a Morbius there, and sort of take that location over without too much commitment. Next, we have Maximus. This synergizes with Cosmo, is a potential turn 4 play if you miss your Dracula, and is just a potential turn 3 play if you have nothing else going on. Very nice. We have Dracula, which is a key card. We're going to be able to discard our 6-cost cards for some very nice power and extra discard for the Morbius. What is not to like there? Of course, we empty our hand, so MODOK, yeah, Dracula MODOK works extremely well. We have Enchantress as well. This card is the least important in the deck, I feel, and a lot of games you don't play it because you just want to play Dracula on turn 4, MODOK on turn 5, so you could definitely think about cutting Enchantress for some more early game potential, you know, maybe an Iceman for turn 1, something like that would be perfectly decent. A different turn 2 play, like whatever you want, would be a good idea instead of Enchantress. But you can have Enchantress there just to deal with things like Zabu and potentially opponents doing MODOK things with Morbius, with Invisible Woman. There's going to be a lot of that, I imagine, at the start of this season, so Enchantress is there as a good option to counter that stuff if you don't have Dracula in hand. Next we have MODOK, who is the star of the show, discarding your whole hand. Very, very powerful, of course. We want to just slam this on turn 5 every time. A lot of the games you're going to want to snap. If you draw your Morbius, Dracula, MODOK, get that MODOK on turn 5, you know, get your Apocalypse value, which is the next card we have. Really, really decent here with Dracula. Going to be able to discard him for 16 power Dracula. Alternatively, we can play the Apocalypse as a 12 power card if we end up not drawing the Dracula. So just really integral. And finally, we have America Chavez, who works very well in this deck. It not only helps you to draw your combo pieces earlier in the game, but it gives you a backup play for turn 6. You know, you discard your hand on turn 5, and then you can play Chavez while discarding with the Dracula. Works extremely well. I would not take Chavez out in this deck. It's a key card, I think, for the MODOK. So that's the deck. Let's get into some games. Here we go then, a bit of MODOK action. So we've got Morbius in hand, that is really good. We've got Cosmo Maximus as a potential follow-up here. And then we have the legend, the little eggy guy as well. So that's promising. Perhaps we should go Morbius in the left here, or in the right? I don't see a reason to necessarily contest the sunspot just yet. Let's go right location with this card. Looks like the opponent's just doing some typical, you know, typical zero shenanigans, which you like to see. Okay, interesting. Perhaps we want to go Cosmo here. Perhaps a Cosmo can be nice into the Maximus. We of course would like to draw Dracula or something along those lines. Cards are costing 1 more on turn 5, which is a real problem for our MODOK actually. That can be an issue. I'll go in Cherie's lab and probably follow up with a Maximus here as well. I have a feeling this is the location we're going to really need to win. You can play a Sunspot in the cloning vats, I suppose. Seems okay. This might be a little tricky because, as I say, we're not going to get the MODOK turn 5, which is where our real power can come from here in this game. Okay, we do have Dracula. Well, that's pretty interesting. Okay. So Dracula is a thing. I think I'll play it on the left, try to win that location out with the Dracula. And then we'll play the MODOK wherever really, probably on the right. Probably in the right location here. And try to win the right location plus the left location. Downside is if Wolverine goes mid, it doesn't really achieve much. This might be a bit of a, you know, looking a bit rough here for us. But we'll see. We will see. The Sunspot, I suppose we might want to play on the left, although, you know, I don't know. Maybe we could play it mid even, but mid looks to be a bit dead here. I think, yeah, we don't play Sunspot because we get extra Morbius value, right? Let's see if we've got it here. There's definitely some plays that we can beat. Aero is one of them, perhaps. I think we beat Aero because we get Morbius value plus... well, even we get Wolverine in there. Okay, very nice. That'll do it. Dracula going to be a big 16 at the end. Oof. Okay, I might have even wanted to snap there, but I think it was a little risky to do so. Victory! I mean, the power of this card, I feel like whenever they release a Season Pass card, it ends up being kind of broken. Not sure if there's any difference with MODOK this time round. It's maybe a bit weaker than Zabu and Silver Surfer, but how much weaker is the question, really? I don't want to pass judgment. Okay, we've got Sunspot into Colleen. Very, very powerful here. And we're going to be able to play MODOK on those guys. We've even got the Dracula as well, so this is looking really good. In fact, I probably should snap here. I think I'll go ahead and do a snap now. See if the opponent will be scared off by my Swarm. Which, to be honest, we can even play... do we want to play here? Probably not, because we lose MODOK value. Let's just skip the turn. And then probably go Dracula mid. I quite like Dracula mid since they're going to be forced into playing cards there on turn 5. This deck's really good. This deck is so decent, I think. I'm not sure if I could do anything better with MODOK, really. The Wolverine's very cheeky. Swarm is also very cheeky. Oh, this is nasty. This is pretty nasty. We might have to just give up Moya Island entirely, actually. Which, you know what? Makes me tempted to just play Drac left, actually. I do have Morbius as well as an option. It's a bit unfortunate we didn't draw that earlier. Didn't draw that a bit sooner. I do think Dracula is worthwhile here. I do think Dracula is worthwhile. I wonder if it's worth playing one Swarm, perhaps? Like, the Avengers compound's a bit annoying, actually. Yeah, I think maybe Dracula mid is still the play. Yeah, let's Dracula mid. I think it has a vision. That is really quite scary, actually. But okay, let's go with our MODOK now. We're going to get ourselves some really good swarm value here. It's just the Muir Island sort of takes away a bit of our, you know, a bit of our potential here, because the opponent's getting so many free power on their cards, which is a bit lame. Bit unfortunate. And not having the Morbius to support our strength gain here towards the end is also a little bit annoying. But we'll see. I'd love to win a big cube victory still, if that is possible, with those swarmlings. And we can always play Apocalypse, or, well, probably Chavez, but we'll see. Depends, we might just choose to play it to have the 9 strength Dracula. That might be more than enough in the mid, and then go for sort of a big Apocalypse on the right. It's always an option. Okay. The big swarm has arrived. Love to see it. We could also just... well, we could also go for sunspot value, I suppose. So it seems to me that we should play the swarms on the left. Now, something rather scary is Thanos is sort of enabled currently. That is certainly an intimidating prospect. Part of me just wants to completely give up Muir Island, but part of me also wants to just get stuck in there a little. If they lose 9 points here, we are putting down 18. I mean, we kind of force them to have a good card in the Muir Island. Let's see what happens here. I think we might be okay. The only downside is losing the left, which is pretty well, not ideal. But I'm anticipating Vision will probably go left anyway. And we should have the middle locked down already with the Dracula, I suppose. Oh no, okay, they're gonna let us win the left. Can we win the right as well? Just Reality Stone? That's not too much. Okay, we got him, I think. Whew. Big 8 cuber there. The sheer power of Swarm giving us what we need there to win. No Thanos by the looks of it, which is good for us, but... Dracula might have saved us against it anyway, to be fair. A lot of points there. Okay, nice. To the next game we go. So you don't always need a Morbius, it turns out. Dracula is sometimes enough, although, of course, we're never going to complain if we do find that 2 mana cost card. Colleen, perfectly fine, perfectly acceptable. I'll play that in the right location for now. This might be a bot, actually, playing an Electra. We do, I believe, get bots around these ranks. Of course, when you're infinite rank, you're not necessarily getting bots until you climb to the very higher infinite ranks. We get a free Dracula here, that's kind of interesting. I'm just gonna, yeah, this is probably a bit of a botty gameplay, so I'll go ahead and snap here. Hope to pick up some extra cubes. The way you can tell is the profile picture of the opponent, the name, combined with the cards that they're playing. They're playing cards that are kind of not very good. Lots of discard units without discard targets. It's usually a giveaway that they are a bit of a bot. And often you can tell with the card, the card backs that they have as well. Could be a little bit suspect, I suppose you could say. Alright, MODOK in the mid, looking pretty fresh. I'm sort of tempted to play it in the right. We don't want the bot to... Nah, that's fine. Ideally, you want to be sort of not ahead by too much, otherwise the bot might retreat. It's so ridiculously strong. Look at this. Look at that value. Not sure how they're gonna keep up here. We just do the Chavez at the end, of course. Don't even need that there, not really. Something like this is probably the way. I mean, I just don't see how you beat it. Really, it's something else, this MODOK. As I say, I'm not sure if it's as strong as Zabu, because you probably can't play it in every deck, but I think when you build a MODOK deck, it's just gonna end up being the prime meta deck, I feel. Very good stuff. Sunspot turn on 1, we'd love to see that. Very nice card. I think with this deck, you really want to just see if you're drawing your curve nicely, and if you are, you know, if you get the Morbius, if you get the Dracula, those are the two key cards, and of course MODOK. I think if you get all of those, you're in a good spot to snap the opponent and go crazy with it. The Cosmo is definitely a card that I'm sort of questioning whether it's worth it. Here I will play it, I think. With the Nowhere, we can perhaps limit what is possible. So this is a new Zabu. They've nerfed the card. No, they haven't actually. Wait, what am I talking? Zabu is still very strong. Okay, alright. I thought they nerfed Zabu, but apparently not. We can play Morbius. And perhaps Swarm as well. Nah, not Swarm as well. We can get MODOK value on that. Of course. Yeah, it can just be a bit awkward sometimes with MODOK if we don't draw the cards that we really want to curve into early. I thought they'd nerfed Zabu already, but clearly they have not. It's kind of funny. Oh, this is awkward. Enchantress. Not exactly going to be working, but we can play MODOK anyway. I'm hoping it'll be enough to deal with the Zabu, particularly when we've got Sunspot Cosmo on the board. Tempting to snap that, honestly, because we are going to win the mid pretty freaking easily, I think. We can always use Swarm if we need to.
Spider-Man here.
It's probably a good snap opportunity, realistically. I can do it now, get the retreat most likely, but you know. Something like this looks good. They don't have honor reveals, so I just don't see how we're losing particularly. Should have snapped really on that MODOK play. That was my bad. It's like this play, but we'll take the win. Let's see if we can beat up on Zabu again. We've got to be careful of that. You know, Spider-Man is a card that kind of counters Swarm and whatnot pretty decently here, so certainly got to keep that in mind. I'll probably play Morbius left. See what we get from the Daily Google. Devil Dinosaur, okay. Well, maybe Enchantress can do some work here, we'll see. We've got at least a very nice curve in this particular game. And Sunspot in this deck, honestly, you might consider taking that out. It's something I hadn't really thought about, but until now. Cosmo, do we want the Cosmo? It can stop them from playing the Spider-Man in one location, which is kind of nice. If we do that, then we can Dracula the other location and perhaps just be fine to win the game. We haven't got drawn MODOK yet, so I'm going to hold off on a snap, I think. We're playing Coulson, which is quite strong with Quinjet, don't get me wrong. That is very decent. Let's go Dracula on the right. I think that's where we want that. Asgard are going to draw them up lots of cards, which is a bit scary. It's quite intimidating, I think. And we probably won't want to play Dinosaur. That's going to be a bit anti-synergistic with what we want to do. MODOK is the card we want to play on turn 5, without a doubt. We have a lot of chance to draw him with the Chavez and whatnot, but if we don't get it, we might just find ourselves in a, you know, going for the retreat here. Because, you know, especially with this hand with Wolverine, Swarm, and no other way to make it work. But we'll see. We'll see. You know, a final turn MODOK might be acceptable. Beautiful. We actually do get it here. That's what I love to see. So we can play it here, probably go for the snap. And then we've got the Swarm, Morbius value, Wolverine's even coming out. And then we can Chavez plus the Swarm for the finisher. Or perhaps, no, you know what, I think it's better to just skip our turn, get that Sunspot value, and then, you know, I kind of wonder if playing MODOK on the right is a good idea here. They can't Spider-Man us mid, so we might not even go for the Dracula value here, I don't know. I really don't know. We probably should. We'll see what happens. I'm going to move my MODOK over anyway, actually. Okay, that's fine for us. No Spider-Man.
Enough said, bub.
And this makes me definitely want to skip and eat the Chavez, of course. Something like this. So we're getting 9 points here. This is going to be really hard for the opponent to beat here, I think. It's just so many points. Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do other than they might just play the cards they got sort of randomly. I think playing Swarm in the mid is good. And then we're just overcoming them by a significant amount of points in every location for now. They can have maybe a Dino to win one location, but yeah, they're going to retreat. Not looking winnable for them. Good to snap on that MODOK turn. I'm pretty sure this is the deck I will use to get infinite this season. I'm just probably going to speedrun it and just go for that. We've got Colleen onto Wolverine. We can do that if needs be. It's not the most exciting play ever. And Dream Dimension, we don't like that. That makes MODOK significantly weaker, unfortunately. So perhaps we just go Colleen onto Wolverine here and maybe don't play MODOK this time round. Try to play a value game. That is... Ugh, not too happy to see that. Yeah, let's just go Colleen here. I'll just take a retreat. Easy retreat. Get out of the game. Go next. When things go slightly wrong like that, good to just get out the way. Lose one cube, no big deal, go next. Nothing looking too good for that for us in the last game, but all good. Oh, Elysium is pretty interesting. We have Dracula Morbius. I'm tempted to just snap on that. I think I will. Before the opponent has any idea what we're actually playing. Going to be up against D-Money. I believe they're a Twitch streamer, YouTuber, perhaps even. Rings a bell, the name. We've got a very strong turn one here. In fact, playing the Morbius may have been a mistake. But at least, you know, okay, we slide into Machine World. That's quite good news. I think I will play Cosmo here. Probably in the left. Go for Dracula left, maybe even. We're going to deny Lady Sif, which is really nice. Okay, Dracula right then looks good because, you know, Savage Land and all that. Yeah, I will just stay mana efficient here. You never know when you're going to need to play a card like Enchantress or whatever. Enchantress, you know, there's some cards here that are interesting and not necessarily great. Enchantress is one of those because it takes away your Dracula play sometimes, right? You want to go for that, but I suppose it might be necessary to beat people doing Invisible Woman shenanigans, if that is a thing. Let's just skip our turn here. We don't need to play anything just yet. We haven't drawn MODOK, which is a bit lame. We're hoping we can get that and go to town. Without that card, obviously... Oh, wow. Did they just really play that in the Cosmo? Huh. That is a little bit wacky. I can't really understand that decision, to be perfectly honest. We're going to be going for a final turn MODOK, which means I think I play Swarm here on the left. And perhaps Enchantress? Perhaps Enchantress on the right? We already have a lot of strength on the right, so I'm not sure I need the Enchantress there. Perhaps just skipping is the way. Just skipping, getting the Sunspot value, keeping our options open. We're not going to be able to MODOK. What am I saying? There's Chavez coming at the end of the game, right? So never mind me. But the fact that they didn't get MODOK value means I'm tempted to stay in here. It's just Morbius not getting any points is really lame, you know, that might lend itself to a retreat angle. Perhaps you should just never snap unless you are, you know, getting the really good stuff. I think I'm going to have to go for a bit of a... I suppose we can play Wolverine Enchantress. We could also take the 50-50 on Dracula, might be the way. It might be the way here for sure. Let's do something like this. Well, you know what, like this. Maybe they won't actually play in anything in the mid and we can then... Ah, the mid is going to mess up my Dracula though, isn't it? Yeah, this is a bit spooky. I think we're probably in a losing position, but... maybe it'll be okay. Let's see what happens, eh? I like to live a little. Let's do something like this. We at least get 2 points on Morbius. It's not exactly spectacular. Opponent's actually going to retreat. Victory. So we are going to get a sneaky win there that we maybe shouldn't have. You know, from their perspective, they can't know that we don't have the MODOK there, so we've definitely got some bluff potential, I suppose you could say. Let's get that Sunspot turn 1. I'd love to see that. It's really good. Makes us very mana efficient. If we miss a card, it's not the end of the world necessarily. Daily Bugle coming in. Arnim Zola. Pretty interesting. I'll just skip turn 2 here, I believe. Cosmo can really ruin the opponent's world. To be honest, as can Mindscape. Let's just go and play the Cosmo. I'm not going to worry about using that as tech here. We are going to hit Sauron with it. Very nice. I'm getting some nice hits with this. And they're just going to retreat off of that. Good game. Climbing a hefty amount of cubes already with this deck. I mean, I think I could just play this all the way to infinite, to be perfectly frank. Yeah, I'll have to cut the video at some point. Can't just play forever here. Do check out my Twitch channel if you want to see me play more of this deck. The link will be in the description, of course. As always. Let's go Morbius here, perhaps in the left. I think I like that. We've got Colleen Sunspot, maybe, as an option. It's not the best if we don't draw Swarm or something like that. We've got Wolverine, I suppose that's something we can go for. In the case that we don't draw our MODOK. We could also just play Maximus though, and I think I like it because it's just so many raw stats. I think I'll play it left to play around Shang-Chi a bit. Wave going to be the response from the opponent. Okay, Dracula is fine on curve. I'd love to see that. Not sure it's that good just yet. We need to draw that MODOK for it to work. Staying away from the snap until we have confirmation that we're all good. Oh, the thing that they're playing here. That's a little random. This might be a bot. Getting some bot, you know, some slightly bottish vibes from the opponent here. I'll go for the snap. We drew the MODOK on time, of course. Sometimes lucky is the same. Although here the value from MODOK is not, you know, too massive. We don't really get Dracula value because no Apocalypse in hand, which is a little bit sad. Should we move on over there? Perhaps play the... You know, perhaps play all of my guys over there, actually, other than the... Yeah, let's just move on these fellas on over. I think we've got a very good chance of winning here if we just skip. It looks like the opponent's some kind of bot, to be fair, so... Just gotta farm those cubes while we're getting those kind of opponents. Yeah, just a pretty straightforward win. Nothing to write home about there. Even though we did miss a lot of the cards, we still have what it takes to beat these interesting plays from the botty. Victory! Let's go for one final game, should we? We've got some interesting cards here. We've got Morbius, Colleen, so we can go for the quadruple swarm gameplay. Perhaps will be our turn 3 play. And Dracula as well is very nice. Let's play Morbius not in the Fisk Tower. I'd like to maybe play MODOK over there, so it doesn't seem to make sense to put Morbius there just yet. Colleen should be good. And we have Sunspot as well. Can't really complain about that card. Let's go for a snap. This is sort of the dream when it comes to hands for MODOK. We've got all the good cards here, really. The Morbius, the Dracula, the man, the myth, the legend himself. Now all we need is Apocalypse, and then we're very... Well, we should be very good to go. So the question I have is, do we play Dracula in the right location or the left location? Certainly playing it in the right location will give us a quite spooky, unpredictable amount of points, but Maybe put it in the left. Keep our strength split a little bit here. And Zabu actually going to be the play. That's quite interesting. Do we want to just MODOK here? Probably, right? Too much swarm value to say no to, really. I suppose I'll play it mid. Mid seems fine. And we'll get all those swarms for the end of the game here. Just going to be drawing into a Chavez Dracula value sunspot going off there in the left. Opponent is doing Zabu things, of course. So we have a pretty decent 15 points, in fact 16 currently in the left. So I'd like to reinforce that a little bit with some swarms, I think. And then perhaps just swarm here, swarm there, swarm everywhere. I kind of like the idea of double swarming over here. They might go Ghost Rider mid. They might go Ghost Rider over here as well, but anything is possible. Morbius gets an extra 2 points, so I think this should be winning. This seems to be my best line of play. Does the new Battle Pass card have what it takes to beat the old one? We're about to find out, ladies and gentlemen. The opponent's going to have to do a bit of a thinky-thonk about where they put their strength this game. It's a bit of a weird one. You've got that Dracula to consider. Of course. Perhaps we over-committed to the left, because they're probably quite scared of Dracula. Ghost Rider will come mid, so we predicted that one in decent fashion. But yeah, perhaps one more swarm could have been the play in the right. Here. See what a Dracula ends up discarding here. There's going to be a Giganto. Oh, close! But not quite enough for the opponent there. Got them just about. Nice little win there against Zabu. Thanks very much for watching, guys. The end result, as you can see, we climbed some ranks on the first day of the season. Very nice. Big cube gain with this, yeah. MODOK just seems very good. Of course, guys, check out the video on screen right now for more content. If you're after that, subscribe as always, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.